Hi, little friend. More cats on cameras. Yes, thank you. I got Pico, my sidekick here. Okay. Well, I think we should just go ahead and get started. Thanks, folks, for being here. I know for many of you, you have already had quite a long day, so we will just dive right in. And if I could ask, Tib, how about you kick us off here?
Yes, with the Element Web update, because I see the backend and spec sections are empty, and the VoIP one too. So for Element Web, well, it's a happy match because actually last week we had a Matrix Live with Dave, specifically about the first point, mark as unread. So there is a PR to land the mark as unread feature into Element Web. I think it's not there, but if I remember correctly, what Dave said is going to be there in the first 2 weeks of April. And several bugs with threads and notifications were found as part of getting TAC shipped. So TAC is, if I'm following the link, is the Threads Activity Center, which is the new bit of UI meant to solve the notifications issues we have with Threads, or the general UX issues we have with Threads. And this should be landing soon.
Excellent, thank you, Tib. Next up, let's just do a clean swap between Element Android and Element iOS. Mani, would you mind taking Element Android?
I will let Benoit. Talking about Android, I will do iOS.
Yes, morning. So yeah, on Element X Android, we have released a new version of the Play Store. It's now just on the testing track, but it should be moved to production during the week. We have added some tracker to help the crypto team to measure the number of UTDs or events that cannot be decrypted. So it's going through the analytics. So if you want to help the team, please enable analytics on your client. Also, we have a new tool to be able to have a gallery of all the screens in Element X Android, and it can help to see any mistake or any typo or any problem regarding the translations of this application. And the same strings are also used for iOS. So if we fix the bug with the translation, it will help both Element X mobile clients. And George has made some work on the performance regarding the loading of room numbers. So the progress is amazing, 60 times faster. So yeah, it will be noticeable on big rooms. And last point, the mark as unread feature has been enabled on the production build, but it should be for the next release. So user will be able to manually mark a room as unread, so that they can revisit later this one. That's it for Element X Android.
Thank you, Benoit.
Perhaps I have a question regarding the mark as unread. So this feature is now implemented on Element Web, iOS, Android. Fluffy Chat has it, Shield Chat as well. So and the MSC is still pending. So should we revisit it? There is no one from the spec team, but yeah, I will raise that to them, I guess. Okay, then on iOS, this is very similar as Android. So we have now analytics for UTDs. We released a new version of the app on the store this morning. So we have now room filters and room as read and read, and also being able to mark a room as favorite. We are improving the quality of the app by having more screenshot tested for both iOS and iPhone and iPad and with different languages. We are making progress on moderation in rooms. We hope to release that this week. And yeah, I think that's all.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we're given today being a little bit out of sorts here. Let's just go ahead and proceed as we had previously with folks reading their own reports. Apologies, Tib, for you having taken someone else's. Who can speak on Matrix REST SDK today?
I don't see many members, but I'm happy to talk about it because I know a little bit about it.
That'd be great. Thank you, Andy.
Cool. Okay, so first off, working on the event cache, which is basically a better way of implementing the way events are stored in memory in the REST SDK so that if we see the same event again, we'll know it's the same one. So that's, I think, going to make our timeline view work better and reset itself less often, hopefully. Also added logging of errors. Just reading this, sorry. When decrypting two device events. So logging, I guess, what the failure when the decryption happened, not just the last time. Then a bit of the back end for the work we just heard about in terms of reporting UTDs. That needs to be done in the Rust SDK in order for that to work in the Android and iOS apps. Also a stream to listen to get notified about changes to the verification state of your own device. And then support for the QR code login feature, which means that if you're logged in one device, you can show a QR code, scan that, and you'll be logged in on the device that you scanned it with. And I think also your device will be verified, if I'm right. No one's contradicting me. And that's it for the Rust SDK.
Yeah, you will be verified.
Excellent. Thank you, Andy. Do we have someone here who can speak to encryption?
I could volunteer if you like.
That'd be lovely. Thank you.
So a lot of focus in the encryption team around trying to sort out unable to decrypt errors at the moment still. We're doing some logging, we're doing some metrics, just trying to track those down and fix them. We also have Hubert working on device dehydration support. That's coming along great. And we also, third branch, which isn't written down here, is that we're still wrapping up the final parts of Element R on web.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I know we do not have a half shot among us, so I'll go ahead and just read this one. Very pleased to say we got a contract buttoned up. The foundation got a contract buttoned up with Tadzik, who is going to be working on bridges a bit for us, working on documentation, tech debt, And hopefully the goal is to make them a little easier to operate and maintain. And while on the one hand, we'll be doing that in part to keep the folks on the other end of the OFTC Matrix bridge happy, we are going to be spending some time on Discord and Slack bridges as well. We see those as the real growth area for Matrix. So I'm going to put our energy and investment there.
Did we have Dedzik here actually? When he's
You
working.
know, I think we probably should.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make sure he's invited going forward. Thank you. Next up, identity and authentication. Could you jump in on that?
Yeah, sure. So actually, most of the team was out of office recently. Most of the team being me, basically. But I still have two things I want to shout about. First of all, the session view in the Matrix Authentication service got a bit of love. So now it's a bit more user friendly. It's still not the best, but at least now it shows you. When you're looking at an individual session, it shows you what this session, what kind of access this session has exactly. And the other thing I want to shout about is that the auth service, whenever it's registering a user, before it wasn't really asking the home server whether that user was valid or not. So MAS was doing its own validation, but it meant that you were able basically to get a user that you're not exactly supposed to get a control on. So now MAS is asking the home server before registering a user, which is especially important if you have application services working on your deployment. And yeah, that's about it.
Excellent, thank you. Tim, I'm gonna throw you right back in the deep end there with your update.
So last week we had a Matrix Live with Dave about the markers and red feature, as I said a bit earlier. I started to draft to announce the working group for the trust and safety, which is not going to be about the foundation doing all the trust and safety work, but more about gathering the gripes the community has around trust and safety and really trying to assess what the problem is for the various actors involved. Apart from that, we published the why the matrix.org home server exists blog post, and it was fairly positively received. And it answers a question we regularly have: why do you have the biggest home server in the public federation and keep the registrations open? So it was worth addressing. So coming up this week, a review of the foundation programs, indicators, and budget to make sure that we are on track and we are following what really matters. I want to finish up the trust and safety blog post draft and then submit it for review to the trust and safety team. Flesh up the roadmap and budget for the Matrix conference to have a good idea of where we're going and at what pace we're going, if we're on track, etc. And I'm looking for a victim for the next Matrix Live.
Thank you, Tim. All right, I will close this out. Last couple weeks in the foundation have been focused on getting the ecosystem and associate member application process finally launched. As a reminder, those are the two new member tiers that we added to get more community representation in governing board, on the governing board and in governing board elections. So we launched that last week, and we have Thunderbird, Dropnear, and Conduit as our first ecosystem members. Excited about that. And have a few other recognizable names that I'm expecting applications from. We've had some interesting meetings over the last couple of weeks with prospective members, and we're looking at trying to, we've got maybe a half dozen or more prospective members in the pipeline, a handful of which have gone a little bit quiet. So we are looking at sort of reanimating those conversations next month. I'll pause there, mention this in the next part of the update. really a lot of the last couple of weeks has been wrapping things up, just getting the slate clear so that I can focus on the next big projects for the foundation, because of course we have elections coming up, and we have to publish our first annual report for the foundation, which is no small thing. So looking forward, this week I'll be participating in FEDI Forum and an open source Growing Pains workshop, which is focused on governance. So I will be on the road for a few days this week. We are getting the latest scope of work buttoned up between Foundation and Element. A few folks have rightly noted it's a little strange that Element isn't listed among the other supporters of the Foundation on its website. So getting that fixed. Definitely want to recognize Element for all the support. We are, as mentioned, the annual report is starting to take up a lot of my time, as is preparing for the elections. Being our first elections, it is harder than usual. It is about putting documentation together, communicating things, and getting the systems assembled as well. So making sure we have clarity as to who are our voter rolls, who is eligible to nominate, etc. And also going to be facilitating the second stage of the Spec Core Team Expectations workshop series. This, I should say, is in parallel to some work, some sort of meta work also for the governing board. We've been working with a governance consultant to make sure that we're setting that governing board up for success. So people look at that's going to be a group of maybe up to 18, theoretically up to 24 people on the governing board. So we want to make sure we're putting a lot of energy into preparing that so that we can facilitate that and get good results for the ecosystem. So that's where a lot of my energy is going these next couple of weeks. I just want to take a step back briefly here. We're just about to wrap up here. I noticed that this week is light. We got some good feedback about our format experimentation. We got some feedback also on how we can improve the format. I don't know if this week is light because there's maybe some feedback that we didn't get that I needed to get, that maybe this isn't working for folks, excuse me, or if it's just light because it's just that time of year. I noticed last week our TWIM update was also a little bit light. So we're not going to overcorrect here, but I just want to make that observation. If anybody has thoughts about how useful this is for you or not, or how you like the format or don't, genuinely, I want that feedback. I want to hear from you. I don't want to waste anybody's time here. So please be vocal. You won't hurt our feelings. We're experimenting because we want to make this work. So speak up. You can message us privately if you don't want to put us on blast, or you can just mention it in a public channel and have a larger conversation. That's all very welcome. So I invite that feedback, but we're not going to overcorrect. Let's just wait, see how the next week goes, what we hear. We'll figure out where we're going from there. With all that, thank you all so much for your work. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great evening, great day, and good rest of your week. Thanks, everybody.